one of the latest attempts at making some sort of assessment of just what drinking means in Ireland came in the form of a report on the economic aspects of alcoholic consumption by Brendan and Dermot Walsh. Now, it didn't give figures for the number of admissions to hospitals, or deaths, or the incidence of alcoholism as such, but it did support the view that an unusually high percentage of Irish personal expenditure is devoted to alcohol. Now, a lot of this expenditure possibly relates to the high cost of alcohol in Ireland, because few countries are taxed as heavily as we are. But there is a clear indication that the Irish attach great importance to drinking. All the signs are that with rising levels of real income, each of us will drink more and more. And it's the hard stuff, spirits, and not beer or stout, that we'll be drinking more of. Those are the financial prospects. The social prospects are another matter, and the sheer physical effects of alcoholism or drunkenness, another one altogether. Dr. Seán Ó Conchubhair, the West Galway Coroner, recently warned of the dangers of going to bed after having had too much drink, or even of going upstairs at all.
Well, there is a danger that people who are intoxicated may do themselves some injury. They may, for example, fall out of a bed and do some injury, perhaps even a fatal one. They may fall from the stairs if they try to go downstairs for any reason, and they're liable to come to a bad end.
One of the difficulties, of course, one would immediately see is that it's difficult to control a drunk, isn't it?
Oh, it is, of course, very difficult. In some cases, some are quite amenable to guidance that their friends or their relations may give them, but others are obstreperous.
Well, what about the drunk on his own? There's not much use saying to somebody who's going out drinking, you know, when you come home drunk, there will be nobody in the house, so lie on the floor downstairs. There's not much use in saying that, really, is there?
Well, somebody may listen to it, but I think perhaps there isn't much use in saying it.
Have you come across cases where drunks have really done themselves a great deal of harm, or in fact even killed themselves?
Oh, yes, that's a commonplace happening. It happens every day. A high proportion of the people who die in fatal accidents are themselves drunk or have been the victims of people who have been intoxicated. In other words, you will get people who are walking on the road who are drunk and who stray into the path of a vehicle, or you'll get a cyclist who falls off his bicycle and is found dead on top of it or under it, or you'll find a man drives a motor car while he's intoxicated and he collides with another and kills himself or someone else, or maybe he runs into a wall and he's found dead next day.
You of course, have made a study of the effects of drink on people.
Yes, I have.
Is it possible to say in unscientific terms what happens to you when you get drunk? What actually happens to you physically?
Yes, you steadily, as you drink more and more, become stuporous. You advance towards a comatose condition, which you reach if you take enough of it. It's the same action virtually as any other narcotic drug, except that in the case of alcohol, the dose is taken more gradually over a longer period than, say, with something like opium.
Mm-hmm. But it has the same sort of effect?
The same effect, except in a few small particulars, such as that in the initial stages with alcohol, there is a so-called excitatory stage. It is not very marked in most cases. In other words, you may get an apparent but not a true stimulation in the early stages when you've taken only a small amount of alcohol, but that passes off rapidly. Otherwise, the effects of alcohol are virtually the same as any other narcotic.
You see, there's an attitude perhaps on the part of some of us to think of drunkenness or to see a man walking drunk in the street as something funny. Isn't that so?
That is so, but that's not a reasonable attitude. It is rather sad and tragic. It is not funny at all. People who are in that state need assistance, and the difficulty is that we don't know yet quite how to provide the assistance. There are all sorts of agencies trying to do it, but we don't know enough about how to go about it.
Are we good drinkers in this country, or are we careless drinkers?
Well, I think the majority of us are people who are reasonably good drinkers. That is, people who drink in moderation and who take it on social occasions and perhaps with a meal. But there are, unfortunately, a high proportion of people in this country who are bad drinkers, who drink too much and who drink on an empty stomach and who drink when they're about to drive or cycle or operate machinery. All too many people drive who should not, because they're intoxicated to a dangerous degree. The situation is not quite the same as in some other countries because we haven't imposed the controls sufficiently rigorously.
You would advocate more rigorous control?
I would, yes, and I think that for one thing the level of blood alcohol which is permitted before you become guilty of an automatic offence is too high. It's much higher than in most other countries. It's 125 milligrams per 100 millilitres of blood, and in some other countries you commit an offence at as low as 50.
Well, is the breathalyser then going to cure any sort of situation which is developing here?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't think so at all. I think that that is only a device which is a sort of net or filter for picking up cases, but I don't think that it will cure the situation at all.
You paint a rather gloomy picture then, actually.
Yes, unfortunately I do. I'm afraid the situation is bad. People in general don't think so, but we have a tendency to sweep this problem under the carpet. And we don't talk enough about it, we don't do enough about it.